Kev, we got the Bills and the Chiefs on Sunday. Who you got and why?
I don't know. I've been sweating thinking because I knew that the question was coming to me. I'm looking at this saying, well, A, well, B, well, C, well, D. Like everything I have is like a counterpoint to the other. We know that Buffalo's got the league's best defense next to San Francisco. We know that Kansas City has been able to lock certain opponents down, especially when the need demands for it. We know that both offenses are electric despite having issues on both sides. Obviously, Tyreek Hill's gone, and then on Buffalo, they're dealing with injuries. I have to go with Buffalo because Buffalo is my Super Bowl pick. I have to go with Buffalo because of how they've been dominating teams. At the end of the day, the Chiefs defense did allow the Raiders to score 29 points. The week before that, they let the Bucks claw back. I know it was in garbage time, but still, you let the Bucks score 31 points. At the end of the day, you did lose to Indianapolis. You lose a close one if you're Buffalo to Miami, and a couple things don't go your way between bad referees, some bad calls. Again, injuries throughout that game. I think that Josh Allen finally gets over the hump. I think Josh Allen's able to eliminate that doubt of him not being able to beat Pat off of his weight, off of his shoulders. I mean, if you look at the two of their stats, Josh Allen has 1,651 yards. Patrick Mahomes has 1,398 yards. Josh Allen has 14 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Pat Mahomes has 15 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. They are a total of 10 total passing attempts apart in terms of Josh Allen having 199. Patrick Mahomes has 189. In terms of completions, they are only a mere 7 completions apart from each other. Josh Allen has 133, and then Pat has 126. I mean, these quarterbacks, like I said at the beginning of the year, are truthfully 1A and 1B. Whoever you have at the top, it doesn't matter. Honestly, you can make the argument for both. Obviously, Pat has the hardware with the MVP and the Super Bowl MVP. So if you want to use accolades, you have to go with Patrick. But in terms of overall performances thus far, they're neck and neck. Both teams are 4-1. Both teams are overcoming multiple forms of adversity. Obviously, Buffalo had that loss to Miami. Kansas City had that loss to Indianapolis. But they both bounced back. Buffalo's ass whooping last week was overly convincing. But again, it was a bad Pittsburgh team. Gabriel Davis has emerged as a significant number 2 and just absolutely blowing the top off of defenses, getting open in the secondary. The issue with Buffalo is they don't run the football. Like, it's always Josh Allen running the football. Like, Josh Allen has 225 yards rushing this year on 35 carries. That's your quarterback. That's not necessary. And then obviously on the opposite side, you have Travis Kelce, who's coming off of a 4-touchdown performance on Monday Night Football. Like, this game, it could very well be a shootout, honestly, because of how high-powered these offenses are. But I will give the edge to the Bills because I believe that their defense is better. They will find a way to create turnovers against Patrick Mahomes. I think that the Chiefs' defense can be suspect at certain times. We saw that Derek Carr was able to abuse and blow the top off with Devontae Adams last week. So I think that Stephon Diggs is going to find a way to do the same. And then, of course, I don't know, man. I really think that the rushing attack for the Chiefs has also been inconsistent. You have some games where Edwards-Helaire does good. You have some games where McKinnon does really good. I mean, it really depends on the offense that Andy Reid wants to run that day. But I will say that this is going to be a close one. I'm going to go out and say that this is going to be something along the lines of 31-28, maybe like another game-winning field goal, but instead it's going to be in favor of Buffalo. I think Josh Allen escapes the hump, and I think that they move on to 5-1 in the AFC East.
Hey, Kev, well, first of all, there's a thunderstorm rolling by, so like if you guys hear like anything in the background, it's probably just like a big roll of thunder. So I apologize if like that just happens. It's kind of weird. It hasn't rained in Florida in 2 weeks, and we already got a thunderstorm. So it's like,
yeah,
ever since that hurricane, it's been actually relatively dry, but this is the first time it's really rained. But to get back on track here, like you said, this is the game of the year as far as I see it. You got the best offense going up against the best defense. The Chiefs have the number 1 offense after week 5. The Bills have the best defense after week 5. And the crazy part is that the Bills have the number 2 ranked offense right behind the Chiefs. Like, this is literally like David versus Goliath. And this is one of those games where it could go either way. And you could make points all day about which team is going to win. But Kev, I agree with you. I think the Bills get this one. I think they do it. I wouldn't say in relatively convincing fashion. I'm not talking about they blow the doors off the Chiefs, they win by 3 touchdowns, and it just shocks everybody. I don't see that happening. I think they win by a touchdown. And I'll explain. I think when it comes to the Bills, I think they need to get past what happened in the AFC divisional round. They had that game won with 13 seconds left, and then they allowed pretty much a 50 to 60-yard drive by Patrick Mahomes in that Chiefs offense within 10 seconds. And they allowed a game-tying field goal to send the game into overtime, where Patrick Mahomes, that Chiefs offense, marched right down the field, and Mahomes hooked up with Kelsey for the game-winning touchdown that sent the Chiefs to the AFC Championship. And I think they're going to use that as fuel and motivation going into this game. I don't care what any of these reports are saying about, oh, the Bills are looking at what happened last year in the rearview mirror. Absolutely not. They are going to use that as all motivating factors going into this game. It's like, that was a game that we should have won. We're going to use it, and we're going to try to get the most out of our players going into this matchup. And I think when it comes to that Bills defense, I'm going to focus on them for a second here, because let's face it, they are dinged up. This is not necessarily a Bills defense that's at its peak power just because, you know, Micah Hyde, for example, he's out for the rest of the year. And there's been some lingering issues, injuries, I should say, throughout this defense. And I think overall, when it comes to how the Bills are going to be able to counter that, I think they just have to, you know, play bump and run coverage with those Chiefs receivers. And it's going to be very difficult to be able to counteract the Chiefs receivers and their wide receiving, the elements that they have at their disposal, just because, like I said, the Chiefs have the best offense in the league, and they've been able to put up 30 to 35 points consistently on any given Sunday. And I think when you look at the Bills, I think they do enough to slow them down to probably manage. I'm going to say they give up maybe 20, 25 points, but if they give up over 30, then it gets a little bit tricky for me with the Bills. But I think that the Bills, that defense is going to be able to hold off that Patrick Mahomes-led offense enough. And then I think Josh Allen is going to have a field day against the Chiefs. That Chiefs defense is suspect. They almost gave up 30 points to the Raiders last week. And the Raiders, you know, granted, their record doesn't indicate it, but the Raiders are a pretty solid team. They have a pretty good cast of receivers. Derek Carr is a pretty solid quarterback, and they were able to move the ball effectively against that Chiefs defense. And I think with Josh Allen at the fold, man, he could put up 3-4 touchdowns in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis, we'll see what happens with Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox is probably going to be questionable going into this game, but they got some great targets to be able to throw to. Isaiah McKenzie's another one. I will say that the Bills definitely have the requisite pieces to win this game, but it's just going to be a great game. I think it is going to be a shootout, like you said, Kev. I think when it's all said and done, I think the Bills win this one by about a touchdown. I'm going to say the Bills win this one by the score of 31-24. I just have too much faith in Josh Allen at this point, and it's not to say that I don't have faith in Patrick Mahomes. I do. I just believe that Patrick Mahomes has a little bit more of a difficult challenge going up against that Bills defense, because I think that Bills defense is better, and I think that points are going to be tough to come by in certain stretches of the game for the Chiefs, where I think when you look at the Bills, that is not going to be the case. I think the Bills are going to be able to effectively move the ball up and down the field. It's just whether or not that they can cash in on those third down conversions and extend drives. If they do that, they should win this game by about a touchdown like I outlined, and they would improve to 5-1 on the year.